as I mentioned at the beginning, we have three lovely hosts, of which I am one of them. So now I'm going to be handing it over to Miss Yande. Thank you. Am I pronouncing that properly? I am so sorry.
You are, thank you.
Girl.
Okay. It's been a ride. We're finally here. Super thanks to everybody who's joined us. Thank you for bearing with us, all the technical difficulties, but we're happy you're here. So my name is Yande. I do a lot here and there. I am not an artist. No, I can't say that. I'm not a performer, uh, but I make art. And I was supposed to be introducing Super Launch for this session, but unfortunately, circumstances beyond his control came up, and to all the people who logged in hoping to see him, we're so sorry he couldn't be here, but he sends lots of love. And so in place of his performance, while I can't sing as beautifully as he does or play an instrument, and like I said, I'm not a performer, I just thought I went through my journals and I found something I had written a while ago that kind of, I think, summarizes the agenda of artists, to kind of just reshape how people look at artwork. When you're singing along to a song, are you just singing the vibe? Or are you taking time to actually appreciate where the vibe is coming from? Artists look at art very differently than onlookers. And so I dabble in art here and there. So you pardon me, I'm going to read a little bit. I hope I don't bore you to sleep, but if you can bear with me. Okay, so I wrote something entitled Art. And it reads, sorry, I'm reading from my notes. Um, so, in the quiet moments when the world falls away, I stand before a blank canvas, a mirror to my soul. Each stroke, each breath, each color, a pulse. The art I create, a reflection of the self that I seek to know. Art and self, a dance as old as time, a conversation between the seen and unseen. In every line, a whisper of truth. In every shade, a shadow of who I am. They say art imitates life, but I think it's a little bit more than that. Art is the language of the heart, the voice of the core. In the brushes glide, in the chisels bite, we carve our essence in the day and in the night. When I sculpt, I am the sculptor and the stone, chipping away the excess, revealing the form within. In the process, I find fragments of my own being, pieces of stories, some told, some still to begin. And in the strokes of paint, I see the spectrum of my soul, bold reds of passion, deep blues of sorrow, greens of growth, yellows of joy, and each color a piece of the self. It's a mosaic of today and tomorrow. Art is not just creation, it is a revelation. It's a journey inward, it's a pilgrimage to the sacred within. It is the self laid bare, raw, and unfiltered. It's a truth that transcends the superficial skin. And we often seek ourselves in the eyes of others. And notice I said seek and not see. We look for ourselves in the eyes of others, in their gaze, in their touch, in their voice. But in art, we find a mirror. We find a mirror undistorted and clear, a place where the soul has no choice but to rejoice. And the canvas knows no judgment, and the clay bears no scorn. And in their embrace, I am reborn. I find the courage and vulnerability, and the strength and fragility, and in every creation, a piece of my own personal immortality. And I stand before this canvas, brush in hand. I'm reminded of the limitless expanse, of the self, of the soul, of the eternal dance between who I am and who I wish to be. Art and self, always side by side, an eternal journey, a quest for meaning, a search for harmony. In each creation, I leave a part of me, a legacy of whispers, a tapestry. So here I am, a humble creator, In the intersection of art and self, I find my truth. For in the end, we are all artists of our own lives, and we are painting the canvas of our souls, and we're all just seeking some proof. Thank you. Snap, 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 snap.
Excuse me? Excuse me? I love the humility of artists when they're like, oh, I just wrote like this small piece, nothing major, and then proceeds to smoke us. And I'm like, where
Oh
did
no,
that come
That's
from?
the one. That's the one.
Excuse
no,
It's
you.
like,
it's terrifying. It's terrifying when you are writing with no intention for anybody to read it. It's
Mm,
different if you're preparing for an audience, and
mm,
when you share something that you did for yourself, it's
mm,
literally standing naked in front of people and inviting them, taking them back in time to that snapshot when you were in your most vulnerable or overwhelmed or in love or in pain
mm,
feelings, and you're allowing somebody to experience that with you. So
mm.
it's terrifying. That's really
I
terrifying,
love
but I'm glad I
it.
did.
I absolutely loved it. If that was art, you painted, girl. You
Thank you,
painted.
thank you, thank
I
you.
believe we did. I think it was so like authentic, and I could tell it came from such a pure place.
Yeah.
So even the part about the colors and stuff, I was like, I feel you. I feel you on that one.
I'm so glad you related. Um I think this is something that becomes really important now, especially during this age of social media and
Mm,
cancel culture.
mm,
The argument of separating art from the artist is ever ongoing.
it's
And it's
true.
so difficult to, like, when you're an artist, you understand that in everything you do, there's inspiration, and
Mm,
even if you just casually doodle, something inspired that, and
mm,
personally, I think it's a very thin line between divorcing an artist from their art, but it would be a shame to lose like masterful works of art,
yeah.
um, because of how multifaceted people are.
Mm,
People are more than just one thing. People are more than just their mistakes. We're all very complex and complicated,
mm,
and uh, it's it's crazy to then whistle down an art piece to the worst of you, or when you
mm,
were at your most depraved, and
mm,
so I hope as we start pushing this art agenda into our communities,
mm,
uh, I think it's great to start with inspiring artists to come together as artists, because
mm,
kind of our job to make sure that the communities and the people around us feel the freedom of expression that we feel,
mm,
when we are trying our release. So whenever a playground event is on there, I'm always on board. You guys are doing
mm,
fantastic things, and Art from Heart uh, the inspiration to do something like that alone
mm,
is absolutely phenomenal. And you guys have been pushing this agenda, and it's working. Every time we come back, people are more comfortable, more vulnerable.
mm.
They're more open to share, and yeah, I can't wait to see this go all the places it needs to go.
I love that. I
Mm,
honestly appreciate that. I think people behind the scenes have truly been pushing the agenda, which
mm,
is just the exchange of artistic expression. Like through your piece, I'm inspired and I see the world in such a different way through your lens. You know what I mean? And kind of the comments you made about kind of the age we're living in and
yeah,
cancel culture
yeah,
is really important to kind of talk about because it's very hard for artists. You release pieces, and part of the pieces hold like some of your identity because they're
yeah,
your legacy to some degree, right? And so you're releasing these pieces with some of your identity, but there's this whole battle between kind of expression of the artist and the artist's identity themselves. And then it's like at the end of the day, should people understand your art or you made your art for yourself? So
yeah,
there are all these like different sort of topics that are constantly in conflict but
yeah,
exist. And we're just at the middle of that. We're at
yeah.
the intersection, I guess. So thank you, Yande, for
No,
such a beautiful piece. We absolutely loved it. We absolutely appreciate your time and effort to do this. We know it was like a short call, but girl, you did it and you made it
I'll
and you
always come through for you guys. You
came
guys are my
through.
community now.
Period.